Okay, in this video, we're going to take our last train engine and make it look like you have wood that's been painted, but some of the paint has been chipped off. So to start with, we're going to keep the wood texture that we have on it. We are going to make a copy, so that way it doesn't overwrite the wood texture on everything else. Let's go ahead and just name this painted wood, and we'll put chipped. And then we can add colors and things later. So, and I accidentally put that on the wrong one. So I'm just going to switch this to painted wood dash chipped. So this will now have the effect I'm going for, and I think I accidentally selected the other train engine. So I'm just going to click and switch that back to the normal wood texture. That way, what I'm looking at happens on this train car. Okay, so let's take a second and look at our nodes and prepare and get this a little more organized. So we're going to select our output, and we're going to drag that over and up just to make it a bit easier to connect all these. And we're going to unplug the displacement because the wood itself doesn't really have much of a displacement, and we would rather have the paint displacement occurring. Okay, now that we have that, let's go ahead and hit Shift A and search for principled BSDF. So we're going to have a second principled BSDF up here at the top. And we're going to give this the paint texture. So make sure it's selected and then hit Control Shift T and find your paint material that we had downloaded earlier. Select them all and hit Principled Texture Setup. Now, they will be kind of overlapped a bit, but the ones you just added should be selected. So if you hit G to grab, you can move that up so it's not quite as big a mess. So then I'm going to grab the principled shader and move it to the side. And like before, we don't need the ambient occlusion, so we can select and delete that. And we don't need the base color, so we can select and delete that. So at the moment, we don't really see what that is doing. So if we take the output of this and replace the other one, we can now see the paint, and we can see what the paint color is doing. Now, what we want to do is mix this principled BSDF shader with this principled BSDF shader. And to do that, we're going to hit Shift A, and we're going to search for Mix Shader. So be careful, there are some other things that say Mix. Make sure you get the one that says Mix Shader. And we're going to plug this into the surface. Then we're going to plug the paint material into the top shader input and the wood texture material into the bottom output. And when we look at this mix shader, we have a factor. So if I turn this to 0, it's completely the paint. If I slide it all the way over to 1, it's completely the wood material. So at the moment, I can only make it all wood, all paint, or a mixture. To create a effect where it looks painted but little spots have paint that's flaked off and you see the wood underneath, we need a way to tell it that some areas are 1, showing the wood texture, and some areas are 0, showing the paint. To do that, let's move our mix shader up and move this over so we have a little room to work. So I'm just organizing this to make it a bit easier. And we're going to add a noise texture. Then add a color ramp. And we're going to plug the color from the color ramp into the factor. We're going to plug the factor from the noise texture into the factor of the color ramp. And with the noise texture selected, press Control T, and that will add the 2 nodes that control how this uses the surface. Does it use a generated or UV? but we're just going to leave it at generated for now. So what we want is to increase, and actually, let's do this a different way. Since we only want 1 or 0, we don't want, for example, a 90 or a different number in between. We're going to change this setting on the color ramp from linear to constant. And then here on the side, we can move it over so that there's just a small amount of white happening. So you can see as I start to move this, we start to see some paint chipping. Now, at the moment, it's really large amounts, and you probably want just really small flakes here and there. So to make that happen, we're going to look at the noise texture, and we're going to look at the scale. And to better see this, we want to see just the color ramp and what's happening with it. So if you hold Control and Shift and then left click on the color ramp, that's going to bypass everything else and connect this node into the material output so you can see what it's doing. So now I can look at the noise texture and look at the scale, and I can increase the scale so that I get a lot more little spots. And if I want those spots bigger, I can increase this white, or if I want them smaller, I can move that around. And I just realized that my other objects are sharing this, which it's okay. We'll fix that later. But I'm just going to use this, and if I increase the detail, you get a little better quality on, excuse me, on some of these smaller little flecks and how detailed it is around the edge. So you can adjust that as much as you want, and you can play with the scale to get as large or small flakes of paint coming off as you desire. So once you're happy with that, you can click on the mix shader and hold Control Shift T. Oh, hit the wrong button there. Hit Control Shift T and left click on the mix shader, and that will reconnect it. And now you can see we have just a few little spots where the paint looks like it's been chipped off from wear and tear being played with. So in the next video, I'll kind of walk through how you can take these different train cars and actually have different colors on different parts.